So welcome to a session where we would be talking about how to delete a node from your existing cluster. So here the assumption is probably you have multiple nodes in a cluster, and utilization wise you don't see that one particular node is being used effectively, and you decided to then unplug that node from the cluster since uh, it's not being used efficiently. It adds no value for money. So if that's the case, at any given point in time, you can remove a node from your cluster following this procedure. Uh, Although some of those steps are quite evident, some of them may require an extra bit of understanding on how the cluster component details are stored in the OCR. I'm going to start off with a small note. You can remove the Oracle RAG database instance from the node before removing the node itself from the cluster, but this step is not mandatorily required. So consider that we have a 3 node cluster with alpha, beta and gamma as the 3 nodes running one database called as RAGDB, where RAGDB1 instance runs on alpha, RAGDB2 runs on beta, RAGDB3 runs on gamma. So I can directly start with the node unplugging procedure without removing the instance first, but it is in general recommended. So that's what I'm saying here. You can remove the Oracle RAG database instance from the node before removing the node itself from the cluster, but this step is not mandatorily required. Now if I don't do this step, then what would happen? As of now I have a 3 node cluster. If I unplug gamma node from the configuration, my OCR will show that it's a 2 node cluster, alpha and beta. But if I check the configuration of my database, it will show there are 3 instances, and the third instance will be reportedly shown against a node which does not exist in your cluster configuration. But even if that is the case, that is even fine. Next time when you attempt a srvctl start command, it won't attempt to start that third instance because the node itself does not exist in the cluster configuration. But my point is, even why to keep that configuration as a dangling configuration where the third instance is reportedly shown against a non-existing node. If you do not remove the instance, then the instance is still configured but it never runs. Deleting a node from a cluster does not remove a node's configuration information from the cluster. Not every bit of the information that is stored in the OCR would be removed, but whatever is removed is good enough for you to continue with a 2 node cluster operation. Whatever residual information still is there in your OCR about the node that you have unplugged, it does not interfere with the remaining 2 node cluster configuration. The residual configuration information does not interfere with the operation of the cluster. So even if some information about the node that you have removed is still around, it doesn't causes any malfunctioning of a remaining 2 node cluster. Before starting, you can optionally delete the instance from the node to be deleted using dbc. So although it's not absolutely mandatory, I would still recommend remove that instance. Anyways, the node is not there, why to keep the instance information around? To get started off with, first determine what exactly is being used. So in my case, I am using alpha, which is currently active. The node is unpinned. Beta, which is currently active, the node is reportedly shown as unpinned. Gamma, which is active, which is reportedly shown as unpinned. Now this pin and unpin status is only required when you run a mixed mode configuration. A mixed mode configuration is when your cluster is 11G but database is 10G. Probably you are in the process of upgrading the whole setup from 10G clusterware 10G databases to 11G clusterware followed by 11G databases. and you decided to break that activity in two phases. Coming weekend, I would only be doing the clusterware upgrade. Next weekend, when I get the downtime, I will upgrade my database from 10G to 11G, because one contiguous downtime slot was not provided to you where all the activities could be accomplished as one whole migration activity. So you decided to break down that whole activity into two phases. First weekend, do the clusterware upgrade from 10G to 11G, and in the second downtime you will be doing the upgrade from 10G database to 11G database. In such cases you must pin the nodes. So when I did this upgrade, I upgraded the clusterware from 10G to 11G. So clusterware is 11G, database is still 10G. Now you try to bring up that database, it will not come up, because by default every node that participates in an 11G cluster is unpinned, and an unpinned node cannot be used to run a mixed mode configuration. So first, after doing the clusterware upgrade, reconfigure your nodes with the pin status. Once the node are in a pin status, then you can bring up the 10G software database, 10G version databases on a 11G clusterware. Until then you cannot do that. Clear? So only when you run a mix mode configuration where the clusterware version is 11G R2 and your databases are previous of the previous version, then in such cases you must run the clusterware with the node status as pinned. The node status can be changed using CRSCTL command. So I can mark a given node as pinned, and I can do the reverse of it by marking a node as unpinned. Clear? So I have obtained the details of my cluster, and reportedly my cluster is a 3-node cluster configuration. So is with everyone else. Now I am planning to remove the gamma node from my cluster. It could be any node. I am removing gamma node. I am planning to remove the gamma node from a 3-node cluster configuration because the third node is adding licensing cost. I am not effectively utilizing that node. My business is a kind of a seasonal business. I no longer need in off peak season the third node to be around. Then why to have that node? It can be effectively used for some other purpose. So I decided to remove the gamma node from the configuration. Optionally, as I said, it's always a good idea to remove the instance running on that node, if any. Obviously there must be an instance running. In my case, I want to determine if it hosts any instance of my database. I am checking the status of my database named RagDB, and I could see from here that there is indeed one instance named RagDB3 which is currently configured to run against gamma. Remember, we are running administrator managed configuration. Now what is admin managed configuration? That we have discussed during our server pools discussion. So there are two styles: policy managed configurations and database administrator managed configurations. My database currently is configured with admin managed policies. So the first thing I would try to do is to remove the RagDB3 instance from the gamma node before I start unplugging that node from my cluster configuration. Prior to that, let's see what's currently running. As of now, I could see a healthy cluster where the virtual IPs are respectively reported on their nodes, their own nodes, which means a running cluster where every node is running. I have scan listeners running on each of those nodes, and I have their scan VIPs as well, against which those scan listeners are running, reportedly shown as 1 against alpha second one against beta, and the last remaining scan IP or VIP against gamma, I could see my database RAGDB is currently in the open state where instances are running on alpha, beta and gamma. The next step I would like to do is, before I move on to the actual cluster removal steps, which is the highlighted section in my notepad and below, I would like to deconfigure the instance which is running on gamma. To do so, I would log into gamma. I would start a VNC because I need to launch DBCA. Once I have a VNC, I would log in into it. I would set the display properties. I would switch myself as Oracle. I am setting my DB environment and I am launching DBCA. Now from DBCA's first screen I would select rack operations. From the second screen I would select database management, instance management part. On the next screen I would select delete an instance. So real application cluster databases. Now out of these ones I would select instance management. Now it says what exactly you want to accomplish. Add or delete an instance. I want to delete the running instance on gamma. I may want to capture a couple of details before. This is the situation as of now. So I have instance number 1 RAGDB, 2 RAGDB2, 3 RAGDB3 running respectively on alpha, beta and gamma. All of them are in open state of the version 11.2.0.2.0. So it says which one? It's a admin managed. I must provide the necessary credentials, sys username and password. It says all of them are active. Select the instance to delete from the list of instances of clustered database RAGDB. This is the one that I want to remove. It says the RAGDB instance 3 is a local instance. You cannot delete the local instance. Please try the operation from another node. I am cancelling this one. I log into alpha, setting my DB environment. Now if I try to launch it from using this VNC, it won't allow me. So I must first set the display. I am validating whether it's running. If I see this X clock, that means the display is okay. I am launching DBCA. Again I am selecting the RAG database operations, instance management, delete an instance, provide the credentials, Select the instance that you would like to delete, and once highlighted, so it says the following delete instance operation will be performed. It's trying to delete the RACDB3 instance from SL Gamma. It says, do you want to proceed? It's doing the instance delete operation for us. I said this operation itself is optional. But then why to keep that third instance information in the OCR if the node itself is not going to be there sometime down the line? So make it a clean configuration. It says, do you want to perform any other operation? To which I am saying no. I would quickly validate what's the status now. So the third instance has been removed. As of now, I can see from the database it's not up and running, which doesn't confirms me anything as of now. To which I am checking status resources. The third instance is not reportedly shown. I am saying srvctl config database -d racdb. That instance racdb3 is no longer reported to be part of my database. It says only 1 and 2 are running on alpha and beta respectively. Just to poke it around, I said show me the status of the instance RACDB3. It says I don't know any such instance named RACDB3. So the third instance has been removed for your database. Remember, the node is still up and running. Cluster services are still up and running. Virtual IP scan listeners are still there on that node. Now we'll start the actual node removal process. The first one is disable the Oracle clusterware and daemons running on the node to be deleted. So first stop everything that is running on that node. First thing to stop is stop the DB console if it is running. So I am running it. Remember, we need to run this on the node to be removed. It may or may not be running here. See, it says it's not running. So it's not configured. Run the root crs.pl script as root. This needs to be done on the node to be removed. Go to the grid home, crs install, and run deconfig deinstall force option. So I am going to gamma node. I am here in the install folder. I would run root crs.pl deconfig deinstall force option. Prior to that, this is my status. It says remove Oracle clusterware to allow it to be uninstalled or reinstalled again. The deinstall option seems invalid in this case. So it's only deconfig. It has printed the VIP configuration for you. Now it is stopping the cluster daemons on gamma. Now in the meanwhile, while the step is running, let's go through this note. If you are deleting multiple nodes, then run root_crs.pl script on each node that you are planning to delete. If you are deleting all the nodes from the cluster because I want to demolish my entire cluster, then append the hyphen last node option to the preceding command to clear the OCR and voting disk. But you must be doing this on last node. So I had a 4 node cluster. On each of the first 3 nodes that I am planning to remove, I will run this command. On only on the last node, I will use this option. Last node, this will clear OCR and voting disk. It says successfully deconfigured Oracle clusterware stack on this node. See here, nothing is running now. So if it would have been the last node, if you are bumping up the entire configuration, bumping off the entire configuration, in that case you would have used last node on the last node to be removed. If you do not use the -force option, then the VIP resource remains running on the node. In our case, we use -force option. Do you see any VIP now? There is no virtual IP of gamma attached to gamma now. If you don't use that force option, the VIP will still be up and running. It will be shown as an attached IP to your public interface ETH0 in our case. You must manually stop and remove the virtual IP resource using the following commands as root from any node that you are not deleting. Then in that case you would have to run this command to get that virtual IP deleted. So instead I use the force option to deconfigure it. Now since the machine is down, let's query the do you see any VIP of gamma now? That's why that step is not required now, because while deconfiguring itself we use -force option, which also removes the virtual IP of that node. Otherwise the virtual IP would have been still there. Now can a virtual IP stay there? May or may not be. It may fail over. In that case, on whatsoever node it has failed over, you have to remove it manually. So you would have stopped the virtual IP and then you would have removed it. But as of now it's not required, because using the deconfig option we use the -force. From any node that you are not deleting, run the following command from grid home bin as root user to delete the node from the cluster. From any node that you are not deleting. Here I am on alpha and I am going to the grid home. It says node SL gamma successfully deleted. On the node that you want to delete, run the following command as the user that installed the Oracle clusterware software. Remember, software is still there. On Gamma, the software is still there. It's only that from OCR and other config files, we have removed the information of the Gamma node. So as the owner of the software, go to grid home OUI bin on the node that you want to delete, and then update the node list. So here I am on Gamma. I am going as the user Oracle. I am setting my grid env, going to OUI bin, and I would then run installer update node list command, mentioning the node name to be deleted, ensuring CRS is shown as true. Question is why? The answer lies in the inventory pointer file. This is my inventory pointer file which points to the central inventory on Gamma. This is what my inventory shows now. So inventory wise, the software is pretty much there. Not only the software is there, it's still reporting Gamma, Alpha and Beta, all the nodes as part of the grid home. The idea is to remove the dependencies from the inventory. So I am running run installer update node list, Oracle home as grid home, cluster nodes, the nodes to be removed, indicate this as a CRS home, do it silently so that you don't need display. It says inventory pointer is located here, the inventory is located here, and update node list has failed for some reason. I am checking if it complains about display. If yes, I would like to change. The problem seems to be with the way we type the command. Let's do it in VNC. I want to check if I am typing anything wrong. I would like to rerun the command one more time. Instead, let me type the complete path of, that is because grid home there was no such variable. That's probably the case. Now it should work. There was no environment variable with the name $grid home. So instead I translated it to the actual path. Since we have the display, I don't feel any requirement to say it as silent. Since anyways display is there. If you do not have a valid VNC display available with you, then in that case you would have said silent, which means do it in a putty, no need for a display. This time it says update node list was successful. How do I know? See this. Earlier the home was reportedly shown as alpha, beta and gamma. Now it says that the home is only a gamma node. So we have isolated that home on gamma. No strings attached with this home for alpha and beta. But if I check the inventory on alpha and beta, it still says it's a 3-node cluster. Clear? So I have isolated the cluster home on gamma prior to removal. On the node you are deleting, as the user that installed the Oracle cluster were home, now run the deinstallation command. From grid home, deinstall, run the command deinstall hyphen local. Very important warning. If you do not specify the hyphen local flag, then the command would remove grid infrastructure from every node in the cluster. So very risky thing to do. So do a small yoga, Kapalbharti, before running this command. It says enter an address or the name of the virtual IP used on node, and it has already shown me the default value. It says enter the following information collected using sbnif config on SL gamma. Enter the net mask, which I feel is already, it doesn't seems to be correct, right? It says enter the network interface on which the virtual IP is active. There is no virtual IP active as of now. It says enter the address of the name of virtual IP. There's nothing there. Network configuration check start. Network deconfiguration, specify all rack listeners, do not include scan listeners that are to be deconfigured. Specify all rack listeners, do not include scan listeners that are to be deconfigured. So if there is any listener, you can mention it other than scan listeners. It says at least one listener from the discovered listener list is missing. The Oracle home will be cleaned up, so all listeners will not be available after the deinstall. If you want to remove a specific listener, please use Oracle Network Configuration Assistant instead. Do you want to continue? I have continued despite that warning. Too many things. It's asking following rack listeners will be deconfigured. Name of the listener is listener. Option hyphen local will not modify any ASM configuration. Do you want to continue? The Oracle home will be deinstalled only on the local node. It says run the following command as root on gamma, and once done come back here and press enter. Successfully deconfigured Oracle clusterware stack on this node. I am resuming and I pressed enter. Now it says I am detaching U002 app grid from the central inventory, and that's done. That's it. The deinstall part of it is done. It says successfully detached the Oracle home from this inventory on the local node only. The cleanup was successful. See where I am. There is no grid directory now. Clear? The grid directory has been removed. See what it says in the central inventory now. Grid home removed is equal to true. Means although the reference is there, but it is reportedly shown as a grid home which was there. It's no longer there now on that machine. It has been removed. On any other node other than the node that you are deleting, run the following command. Run installer update node list remaining node list cluster is equal to true silent. So you need to run this command on either alpha or beta, so that the grid home registered in the inventory should no longer be reported as a 3 node installation. It should only be reported as a 2 node installation. So here I am on alpha. The problem with the grid home on alpha and beta is it is still reportedly shown as a 3 node configuration. So you must update the inventory to reflect that no longer gamma participates in the configuration. This could have been very well done manually as well. I could have gone to that file, delete that line, go to local inventory oracle home.properties and remove the information of the gamma node. So if I update two files, I could have accomplished the same thing. Let's do it via commands this time, however. I should have done it as oracle user. I went to grid home, OUI bin. From there, I am running run installer update node list. Oracle home as grid home, clustered nodes as remaining nodes, CRS as true and in a silent mode so that it doesn't prompt me for display. Update node list was successful. I am checking it here. No longer gamma is reported as part of grid home. I am logging into beta and I am checking the central inventory of beta. See here, it's no longer being reported in the central inventory of beta as well. So grid home has been successfully deconfigured from gamma. Software is removed. Inventories are updated. On the similar lines, do the same for the oracle home. So I will go on to gamma, remove that node, mark it as local, remove the software, come back to alpha, update the inventory saying no longer for RDBMS home as well gamma participates. So here I am on to gamma. You see here the RDBMS home is still being reported as a 3 node configuration. If I come back to alpha, RDBMS home is still being reported as a 3 node configuration, which is not the case. So you must go to gamma, mark it as if it's no longer a 3 node configuration. Using the same command, the only difference would be this will not be there. CRS is equal to true will not be there. So mark it as if it's a standalone RDBMS Oracle home only on gamma. Remove just the command option CRS is equal to true. That home will also be shown as if it's a single node configuration. Then again run the deinstall utility or directly manually remove that home. So I am back to the configuration. Once that has been removed, for RDBMS home this time, update the node list. Clear? So go to gamma, go to RDBMS Oracle home OUI bin, run this command with only difference as do not put this thing. So it will consider this as a RDBMS home, not as a CRS home. That home will be reportedly shown as if it's a standalone RDBMS home only on Gamma. Once that is done, do the Gamma ka cleanup all on your own. So otherwise you will need a deinstall utility. You may not have the deinstall utility. You can directly go and remove everything from that node. Let's do this. Here I am on Gamma. I am setting my environment to DB, going to Oracle Home OUI bin. I would run the same command. The only difference I said is and this one. Now I am checking my central inventory on Gamma, what it reports. It reports it as a standalone installation now. It's only reported as a standalone installation. Now I need to run deinstallation utility from the RDBMS home. I am going to my RDBMS home. I am already under RDBMS home. I go to deinstall and then I say deinstall hyphen local. The way we ran it for grid home, I am running this time for RDBMS home. Somebody could have directly deleted the RDBMS home, central inventory, everything, and the result would have been still the same. But that's like a tribal way of doing it. To do it in a more sophisticated way, Oracle has provided you utilities to accomplish that. It says specify the list of database names that are to be deconfigured. There is no database that is running here. It says everything will be deleted. Are you sure you want to continue? Detach the Oracle home from the central inventory. It says all done. See here now what it says. Everything is removed. If there are any more traces left, I would do a manual cleanup. I go to etc. I check. Is there aura nst.loc, aura tab, Oracle folder? All of them are there. At least I could see aura tab is not there. Aura nst and Oracle is there. On Gamma node, do a manual cleanup. Root obviously. I am going to USR local bin. I am removing all of them. These are all Oracle files. Now my machine is as if there was no Oracle by any chance on this machine. Delete the user, delete the group. It's a purely a clean machine after that. I go to U002 APP. See, there's nothing there under APP now. I come out, remove APP. As if there was no Oracle on this machine. It's like a fresh machine. You can use it for any other purpose. I said grep Oracle in etc passwd. Nothing is there. Clinic all clear. Now from any of the existing machines, update the RDBMS Oracle Home as a 2 node configuration. If I go on alpha, RDBMS Home is still reportedly shown as 3 node configuration, which is not the case. Login as Oracle, set the DB environment, go to Oracle Home OUI bin, keep only the remaining nodes. You may want to do this silently. Update node list was successful. I am checking it on alpha as of now. I would do the same check on beta. Clear? So it's now reportedly a 2 node configuration. Here I am on alpha, remaining nodes, setting my grid environment. Clear? So OLS node now reports it as a 2 node cluster. Cosmetic, validate everything is okay. Cluster verify stage post node deletion. The name of the node that you deleted was gamma. Performing post checks for node removal. Gamma node has been anyways unplugged. I can halt it now. In the meanwhile, I am opening another session to alpha. I am primarily interested in scan VIPs now and the scan listeners. Earlier, each one of them had one scan VIP and one scan listener on those VIPs. Now one node will obviously receive two. Clear? It says post check was successful. That means the node is no longer there. It's all clear from that node. No configuration for your OCR is now having the reference for that third node. So the node has been removed successfully. That's it for this particular session.